She never texts you first? You're missing this. If she never texts you first but always replies when you reach out, well, most men jump to the same conclusion. They assume that she's not interested, she's playing games, or she's talking to another guy. That assumption feels logical, but it's usually incomplete. What's actually happening has less to do with her interest level and more to do with the role that you've trained her to play in the dynamic. Please watch this video to the end, because if you miss this, you'll misread the situation every single time. So today I'm going to break down why she doesn't initiate texts, what it actually signals about attraction and power, the common mistakes men make when they notice this pattern, and what to do instead if you want to shift the dynamic without chasing, begging, or overcorrecting. By the end, you'll know exactly how to read the situation with clarity and how to respond in a way that increases respect rather than anxiety. Number one, what most men get wrong about texting first. So I'm going to start by clearing something up. Initiating contact is not the same thing as attraction. A woman can be attracted to you and still never be the one to text first. That fact alone already breaks most of the bad advice floating around online. Many women are socially conditioned to respond rather than pursue, you see, especially in early or undefined stages, okay? Now, when a man consistently leads communication, she often would step back into a reactive role without even consciously deciding to. And here's the mistake. Men see that she never initiates, feel a spike of insecurity, and then start texting more, explaining more, or trying to be more entertaining. But that behavior doesn't necessarily inspire her to text first. All it does is reinforces the existing pattern. If you're always the initiator and she's always the responder, that's not neutral. It's a structure that you helped create. Think about this. If every time she feels a moment of curiosity or boredom, you appear on her phone anyway, why should she feel the urgency to reach out first? Tell me. I mean, you've removed the gap that would basically motivate her to act. Think about it. The real signal you should be watching instead. So, in my opinion, the better question is not whether she texts first. The better question is how she responds when you text. Does she engage? Does she ask questions? Does she invest emotionally or playfully, right? Does she continue the conversation rather than letting it die? For me, these are the attraction signals you need to watch out for. Initiation alone is not. Here's an example. A man texts, right? She responds 10 minutes later with energy, humor, follow-up questions. She's engaged. The conversation flows. However, he still fixates on the fact that she never initiated the text or the conversation in the first place. Meanwhile, another man gets a dry, delayed response, but clings to the fact that she texted him first once. Now, one of these situations has a real interest and the other doesn't. Don't be that guy who reads this backwards. Attraction shows up in investment and not just initiation. Why she's comfortable not texting first. So let me really dissect this, because this is where most guys misread the entire situation. You see, when a woman does not text first, it's rarely random. It's usually a byproduct of a dynamic that feels stable and predictable to her. And human beings don't change dynamics that basically feel safe and predictable unless there's some kind of a reason to do so. The first reason is you've trained her that she doesn't need to be the one to text first every time. Every time the conversation slows down, you reappear within a day, within hours, or sometimes within minutes. She subconsciously registers that behavior as the driver of communication. You're the engine, she's the passenger, and passengers don't reach for the steering wheel. That doesn't mean she lacks attraction. It simply means she's settled into a role that you consistently demonstrate. If you always lead, she'll respond. If you always reopen, she'll continue. But she has no incentive to initiate because the outcome is guaranteed. You're going to text anyway. Pause and think about this honestly. When was the last time she had to wonder whether you're going to reach out to her or not? If the answer is never, then her comfort, of course, makes perfect sense. The second reason this happens is emotional security. If she feels confident that your interest is solid and unwavering, she may not feel the urgency to prove hers. Attraction, especially in early stages, thrives on a little bit of uncertainty, not drama, not games, right? Just a slight question mark. When she knows that you're fully invested and consistently available, she relaxes into a responsive position rather than a proactive one. And here's the truth you may not want to hear. A lot of guys confuse availability with value. They believe being constantly present increases attraction. In reality, what it does is it lowers urgency. She becomes comfortable, and comfort can feel good, but comfort without tension, of course, will not spark any kind of initiative. Let me give you a realistic scenario. Let's say you text her every morning, you check in every evening. She responds warmly when you do, laughs, she engages, all that stuff. But she never beats you to the punch. Why would she? Think about it. There's no gap for her to step into. You've removed the emotional space that would trigger curiosity or mild concern. Now, the third reason is more subtle. Some women are socially conditioned not to pursue, period, right? We have internal narratives about how men should lead early communication. Even if she likes you, she may believe that initiating too much makes her appear eager or overly invested. And it's not always manipulation, as some guys like to think. Sometimes it's just simply learned behavior. Now, here is where you need to stay sharp. If she never initiates and her responses are dry, delayed, and minimal, that's not comfort you're seeing, okay? That's low investment. Comfort looks like consistent engagement when you initiate. Low interest looks like minimal effort even when you lead. There's a key difference, and the key difference is energy. Does she bring energy when you show up, or does she merely acknowledge you? There's also the validation factor. If she knows you will initiate, basically she gets the emotional reward of your attention without having to risk rejection by, messaging you first. Initiating requires vulnerability. Responding doesn't. When you always initiate, you absorb the emotional risk. She stays in a safer lane. Ask yourself this. Have you created a dynamic where she never has to take even a small emotional risk? If so, don't be surprised that she doesn't. Finally, she may simply not feel the need to escalate yet. Some women are content to let a man demonstrate consistent effort before they increase theirs. Not because they're calculating, but they're simply observing. She may be watching how steady you are, how confident you are, how patient you are. If you suddenly panic because she didn't text first, that reaction will give her all the information she needs. That's the deeper layer most men miss. When you react strongly to minor communication patterns, you reveal insecurity. When you stay steady and measured, you communicate self-trust. So understand this clearly. Her comfort in not texting first is often a reflection of predictability, emotional safety, social conditioning, and your willingness to carry all the initiative. It's not automatically rejection. It is data. If you want the dynamic to shift, the solution is not to confront her. It's calibrated absence and intentional pacing, right? The moment she feels a real gap, not a manipulative one, but a natural one, she will either step into it or she won't. And that response will tell you far more than anything that you ever wanted to know about her interest or her level of interest, okay? What not to do when you notice this pattern? Don't call her out on it. Saying things like, "You never text me first," immediately frames you as needy and puts pressure on her. Don't test her by going silent indefinitely out of spite either. That's not confidence, but passive aggression, somewhat disguised as self-control. And please, don't suddenly flood her with jokes, compliments, or long messages to earn initiation. That only deepens imbalance. Attraction is not negotiated, it's responded to. Here's what to do instead. If she responds well but never initiates, your move is not to chase harder or disappear dramatically. Your move is to lead less frequently but more intentionally. So what you want to do? Shorten conversations. End them first sometimes. Leave on a high note instead of dragging out conversations. When you do text, be grounded, be purposeful, and definitely not reactive. This creates two things. First, it signals self-respect. Second, it introduces uncertainty in a very healthy way. She starts to feel that gap. That gap is what will prompt initiation and not pressure. As you're watching this, I want you to think about your own situation. Has she been responding with interest but never initiating, or has she been disengaged altogether? Those are two very different problems. Now, if this is already clearing up your confusion, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, because this channel is about clarity and not games. So the bottom line is this. A woman not texting first is not necessarily a verdict, okay? It's feedback about the structure of the dynamic that you're in with her. When you stop obsessing over initiation and start paying attention to investment, I believe that your decisions will become cleaner and your confidence steadier. And guess what? That shift alone often will change her behavior without you saying a word.